How's it going, everybody? It's Pilot Flame, and we are back with the second video of today for this Tuesday evening, and it is buy, hold, sell time for Game Week 6. We're going to be taking a look at players that I think you need to bring in this week, players that I think you should hang on to after blanking, as well as players that I think that you should potentially sell because they've either picked up an injury or just haven't been performing to their expectations. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And drop a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. It's PilotFlame226. We post our weekly bulletins of what content is coming out both on YouTube and on Twitch over on Twitter, and you can see those announcements as they come in, as well as over on Twitch we'll be doing our deadline stream. It's going to be the night before. It's going to be at 7 p.m. EDT this Thursday because we have games that start Friday afternoon or evening time if you are in the UK. So without further ado, let's see who we have in the buy, hold, sell list this week. So this is how we did in our previous buy, hold, and sell game week. We had a pretty good buy in Heung-min Son. If you did so, you're rewarded with a 13-point haul from the South Korean international. Spurs are just absolutely on fire, and I think the Kane-Son double up has definitely rewarded managers who have gone for it. For me, unfortunately, I haven't had Son the entire season, and neither have I had Kane, even though I definitely considered them, as did everyone, in the game week 1 to before the season even started. I still have my wild card, so I potentially could do something there. I have 2 free transfers this week as well, so I potentially do something there, but we'll have to see in that regard. Maupay was a bit disappointing, however, got himself into a very good position, didn't take his chance, only ended up with 2 points this game week, but I still think he's definitely going to be a good buy as he has West Brom this week and could potentially get a nice haul for managers that have picked him up. For the hold this week, Mane was definitely a success, getting 6 points, and has Sheffield United at home coming this week, which looks to be a fantastic fixture on paper. De Bruyne, however, was not. He came out of the Belgian national team and then has a injury that could see him come out for 1 to 2 game weeks in our fantasy teams. We'll have to see how Pep talks in his press conference about De Bruyne, but it seems like he's going to be 1 to 2 weeks. Maybe he was just talking about the the Champions League game as well as game week 5, but we'll have to keep an ear on that in terms of what he says and how long he's definitely out for. Also, it seems like Gabriel Jesus could be out, so Aguero could be an option for some people. Spoiler alert. As well as some couple other injuries like Laporte and that sort of stuff. So Man City going through a bit of injury problems, and Kevin De Bruyne is one of them. In terms of ourselves, we were a bit lazy. We picked Martial and Vinagre, who we knew wouldn't play. Martial is still out for the Chelsea and the Arsenal game, but will be back to play Everton, and he could potentially lose his place depending on if Cavani comes in and hits the ground running. In the Champions League game tonight, he did play well. He got an assist in the first half for getting taken down for the penalty. But overall, his hold-up play was quite good, and we could see that come back to the Premier League in the Everton fixture. And then Vinagre was put out on loan, so pretty straightforward sell there. So let's get into and see what buys we have for this week. For starters, it's a pretty obvious buy for me this week in terms of who's just providing the most in terms of FPL points, and that's Harry Kane. 60 points this season, currently sits at 10.7 million in the forward line, 5 goals, 7 assists, 34.7% owned, and he's averaging 12 points per game, which is absolutely insane. He has a very nice fixture versus Burnley next, and still has a couple of good fixtures after that, and scored back-to-back 16 pointers in game week 4 and in game week 5. He's just all over the pitch now, Harry Kane. Mourinho is really showing him that he could be the guy that drops in deep and provides the assist, but also when needing to gets forward and definitely scores the goals. And let's not forget, he's on penalties as well, something that we often forget about Kane, and he's very good at them too. When he takes a penalty, it is right in the corner. It's usually rifled into the side netting. Even if the keeper does dive the right way, he will definitely score them. He's getting a lot of shots inside the box, very accurately so as well. And his just link-up play with Son is one of the best in the Premier League all time. I believe him and Son, I think it's like Son to Kane specifically, has happened like 26 times, I believe, in their careers, which is absolutely insane. I think the most common one was like Lampard to Drogba, and that wasn't a too bad of a pairing, I wouldn't think, and that was at 34, so they might end up beating that by the end of the season in the way they're going. But Harry Kane, people were saying that, he was dropping in too deep. He wasn't getting in the box. He was playing CDM, all these sorts of things. But I mean, he can drop deep if he keeps providing assists like that, and if he keeps getting into the box when he does, he'll definitely score. And we can see that he's also an aerial threat by his header in the second goal versus West Ham in the 3-3 draw. And I think Kane could be a viable shot for the captaincy this week as well. 60 points in FPL, 5 goals, 7 assists to start off. Fantastic start for Kane, and I definitely think a lot of managers are going to be buying him this week. The next buy that we have on our list is the other really good forward, Sergio Aguero. Everyone forgot about him. He's only 1.9% owned. He's only played just the one game where he got 2 points. Only played 60 minutes, coming back from a long-standing knee injury. And he has West Ham away, who just shipped 3 goals to Mr. Harry Kane's Tottenham Hotspurs. Now, Aguero's 10.4 million, one of the lowest prices we've seen from him in quite a long time. He is definitely a clinical finisher. I think with him on the pitch and De Bruyne or not, he is guaranteed to be on penalties. With Jesus out for what seems to be at least a few more weeks, at a bare minimum, it seems like initially he was going to be only a couple weeks, and now it seems to be maybe a couple months potentially. So we know the golden rule of FPL: if either Aguero or Jesus are out, you get the other one in, and Aguero's no exception to the rule. Definitely some nostalgia factors with him scoring 4 goals in a game, hat tricks galore, all these sorts of things. Aguero is going to be a fantastic asset if he manages to stay fit, and I think he's going to be, very underappreciated going into this game week. I think he could be just as good, if not better, than Harry Kane this week. Burnley's defense is starting to, increase a little bit. Obviously West Brom's no measuring stick, but again, can Spurs break them down? They've been hitting teams on the break, and Burnley definitely do not play a high line. They sit back as far as the eye can see. Whereas West Ham's going to try to play a little bit, and I think Aguero could definitely get in behind. They can win some penalties because Sterling's been, catching fire recently. And I think that Aguero could be a main part of that. And just a front line of just Aguero, Sterling, and Mahrez just back in the fold. I think Aguero is going to be the focal point in that. And I think that with penalties in his locker as well, I think Aguero could be a fantastic buy for this game week. Now, the first player that we have on our hold list here is Trent Alexander-Arnold. He currently sits with 15.7.5 million as a defender. Could potentially go down in price soon. 1 assist to his name this season, 37.2% ownership, average of 3 points per game. He has Sheffield United at home this week, which is a very good fixture, but he only received 1 point in the previous game week. Now, Trent, unlike the other defenders that have been along the back line, or his counterpart more specifically in Robertson, hasn't looked nearly as sharp. Only got 7 points twice, where he got an assist in one of those games and a clean sheet in the other. I think that he's just been looking a bit lackluster. Got exposed versus Aston Villa, played a lot more defensively in the Everton game, and now with Van Dijk and Alisson both out longer term, I think that he might not get forward as much and has to rely more and more on the deep crossing. Also, Van Dijk scored, I think, 4 or 5 goals last season, and those could have been from corners from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Not sure how many of them were, but I would like to know the numbers on that. Trent doesn't look to be his, attacking self. His free kicks, he hasn't scored any as of yet. We know he's definitely capable in that. I think that it is a good hold for him this week, though, versus Sheffield United. If Liverpool don't keep a clean sheet again because of Adrian mistake, or, Matip and Gomez just not looking very good, and he fails to get another attacking return, I think we can definitely see him being shipped out. I might even still be tempted to get rid of him in attempts to bring in the Spurs or, the resurging, coming back into the fold Aguero. And I think that he, is definitely what we like to call a cash cow, or someone who can alleviate funds. Because there are defenders that are performing a lot better than his 15 points this season. Likes of Lamptey come to mind. Even Kyle Walker-Peters has done quite well for himself. Charlie Taylor getting a clean sheet last week. He might be, good going forward. He does have Spurs this week, but again, not, still not out of the question. Even defenders at 5 million are slightly performing better than Alexander-Arnold. Some performing a lot better. Chilwell for just 2 million less looks to be very attacking and doing basically what Robertson is doing for Liverpool. So I think if you had to pick between the two of Trent and Robertson to get rid of, it would be Alexander-Arnold. But I think if you have just Trent this week, I'd say hold him on for one more game week. He might get a hole versus Sheffield United. The other hold on our list this week is Christian Pulisic. He's come on as a substitute appearance and started from the beginning versus Southampton, only having 3 points to his name, no returns as of yet, only 4% owned, 1.5 average points per game. And he has Man United away, which looks like a bad fixture on paper, and he only, like I said, scored 2 points in the previous game and has dropped in price since he started at 8.5 million. And I would say this for the likes of Havertz and even Werner, if you've kept on to him for this period of time. Man United away is not that bad of a fixture for Chelsea. They can definitely score goals in that game. It's just how many can they score. I think it could definitely be a shootout in, that sort of fashion. United coming off a fantastic victory in the Champions League tonight versus PSG, winning 2-1. Chelsea with a very, kind of okay-ish performance, acceptable I would say, with a 0-0 versus Sevilla, who have been very good in Europe, especially in Europa League, and are have a very good record versus English teams. And I think that Pulisic getting more minutes under his belt, coming off at the very end of the game, I think he's definitely going to start. He's been playing out on the right-hand side because for some reason Lampard seems to be playing him, out on the right-hand side when Mason Mount's in the team, who plays out on the left. I think that Pulisic, when he's played in his proper, in the left, on the left side of the attack with Ziyech on the other side, I think you will see the best of Pulisic, and I think that could come this week versus Manchester United, who are flying high as they've got 2 wins in 2-1 against the Champions League runner-ups last season. Now Pulisic is with going to be with Werner, with Havertz. When played in his correct role, he's definitely going to be the ball carrier, the man to make things happen. If you have him or any of Chelsea's assets, I would say definitely keep on to them, because United's defense still, I'm not convinced personally in terms of the big chances that they concede. They concede quite a lot. Their expected goals conceded is somewhere in the realm of 8 or so, which is like bottom 5 for the league. So I think Pulisic is definitely going to be one to get on the score sheet. It's just a matter of who can score the most goals in that fixture. The first player on our sell list this week is Alexander Mitrovic. He currently has 17 points. He's gone down in price, 5.9 million in the forward line, 2 goals in just the 1 game in Game Week 2, 11.6% ownership, 3.4 average points per game. He does have Crystal Palace at home, who have been quite defensive and not really creating chances, but he did miss a penalty and just kind of fluffed his lines a lot in the Game Week 5 fixture, getting 0 points, which isn't great at all. Now, he would have looked fantastic had he had scored that penalty, but again, every chance that he had, he just looked frustrated. He caused them to concede a penalty as well through the VAR call. He just looks like he's in just a bad place at the moment. He's already gone down in price. I expect him to probably go down once more. He does have Crystal Palace at home with West Brom after that, but again, Fulham overall just don't excite me, much like Crystal Palace's attack. So this could end up being a boring 0-0 personally. I just think Mitrovic just looks out of sorts. His penalty that he scored versus, I believe it was Leeds in their, I think it was a 4-3 defeat, it just didn't look convincing either. Like the keeper, Meslier, could have saved it as well. And this one wasn't any better. He struck it straight off the bar. It would never look like it was going in. And he just overall just looks like a very underwhelming cheaper forward, with the likes of Maupay and Wilson and Antonio and these sorts of players performing at the level that they are. I think you can definitely swap to one of those, or potentially he could make way for one of your more premium forwards if you get the funds to go straight up to them, which I'm definitely looking to do this week. Now, the other player that we have on our sell list is Jamie Vardy. He currently sits at 10.1 million in the forward line, 34 points, 5 goals, 0 assists, just over 20% ownership, an average of 8.5 points per game, and has Arsenal away in his next fixture. However, he didn't play in Game Week 5. He was talking about how he typically has a, some type of like growth that happens on his hip that kind of bothers him every now and again. But this is a completely separate issue. He's flagged for a calf injury on FPL, and this could potentially see him out longer term than just a week, or he could potentially risk it and get injured in the Arsenal game again, because he is a player who is, he's getting up in age. I think he believe he's either 31 or 32 now. And although he is a fantastic player on his day, it just seems like every now and again Vardy gets like these injuries that start off as something smaller and then end up being, a lot larger, whether it be a hamstring or a calf problem. He had a calf problem at the in the points of last season, which caused Leicester to drop down in the table, and that was coincided with the likes of Maddison being out as well. I think that if Vardy does play, and we get news of that in the press conference, then I would say probably hang on to him, because Arsenal away could be a good fixture with Leicester hitting them on the break. But if there's any inclination that he could be, not fit for the game, I would definitely get rid of him. If you made value on him, fantastic. Now's the time to swap over to the likes of Aguero or Kane for this game week. And that's going to do it for the Game Week 6 edition of Buy, Hold, and Sell. If you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. It greatly helps out the channel, and turn those notification bells on so that you can get the content as soon as it is readily available. And leave a comment down below as to players that you may be looking to bring in, hang on to, or get rid of going into Game Week 6. I personally have 2 free transfers, so I'm potentially looking to you guys to potentially help me out and see what transfers I could be making for this game week, as I don't want to roll a transfer because it will burn one. Also, make sure to give us a follow over on Twitter and Twitch. It's PilotFlame226. We will be doing our deadline stream over on Twitch, 7 p.m. EDT this Thursday. We had to move it the day before because of the games starting on Friday afternoon. My time, I think it's a Friday 8 o'clock game in the UK. And Twitter is where we post our updates and all our videos and that sort of stuff when they come out. Thanks for watching, and until the next one, take care.